Are you going to treat somebody differently who treats you with love, warmth, and happiness? Of course. So it matters how I treat them with the response I get. So monitor your thoughts, monitor how you're thinking about people in your family, because it has a massive impact on what you feel about them, think about them, speak to them, the words you use with them, then how you treat them. And then at the end of it all, it has a big impact on how they treat you. Then you keep on zooming out, it has a big impact on the energy of your house, what your kids will remember about your home, and your job, your legacy as a leader. How did I lead my family? This is a strategy I've been using for about a year now, maybe a year and a half. I've shared with the guys in Men of Fire, but it helps me to think better about my family members. And it can be used for anyone, but we're going to talk specifically about our family members. Here's why this is important. In the past, I have been really negative about my wife, about certain kids. If I find myself in a funk, if I'm super stressed out, or I'm in a selfish phase of my life, usually it coincides with me losing my discipline, or I'm frustrated about something in my life. That's whenever I tend to get selfish. The pattern is I am frustrated, so I look inward and I think me, and then that's when the selfish behaviors come out, snapping, being impatient, unpresent, and not being the selfless, giving, inspiring leader that we strive to be. So I'm not perfect. I've had phases of life like that. And you can have macro phases of life like that are like years. So you can have micro phases of your life like that where it's like days, parts of a day or a week. Or even an hour of your day where you're selfish and your wife's in a bad mood, you're in a bad mood, and you find yourself thinking negatively about the person. And I've shared this in Men of Fire as an actual strategy that I teach my guys. And they've said that it's helped them immensely. So I'm going to share some of these strategies with you, because how we think about the people in our life has a massive impact on what we say to them, how we treat them, and how we actually feel about them. Just like we have to be really cognizant of how we think about ourselves, like your identity, your confidence is all tied up into how you actually feel about yourself. And how you think about yourself. If you've got a positive story, then you're going to think positively about yourself and be confident. If you think you're a failure, you're full of shame, you've got a negative story that defines who you are, then you're going to be unconfident and you're just going to screw everything up because that's who you believe you are. The same is true for our family members. And I remember there was a year or so where, and my wife and me, we've been married for about, it's going to be a 15-year anniversary coming this summer. There was like a year or two where we weren't great and we were fighting a lot, arguing a lot. And I was just always annoyed at her. Whatever she did, I was just pissed. And when I zoom out, I would go to sleep thinking bad things about her. Like I would go to sleep thinking how annoyed I was of her, little things that she did that annoyed me. I'd be like, she's doing this to me. It was a very pathetic, selfish victim mentality. But let me tell you, it coincided with me letting myself go. And any guy that comes into Men of Fire and is in that same mindset will say, well, after they've transformed and lost the fat suit and become disciplined and energy givers, they'll tell you the same thing. They'll say, I was very selfish when I started out. That's the reality of it. Like if I look like my life revolves around consumption, like I'm fat, I'm lazy, I'm complacent, I'm undisciplined, that is a selfish person. Because how do you get that way? You get that way by consuming. You don't get that way by giving. You don't get that way by working hard and serving people. You get that way by taking more than you give. You're always taking more food than energy you're giving. That's the basic math of getting fat. It's you're taking more than you're giving. It's an energy balance. It's not, and think about getting fat, not necessarily just calories, because calories are energy, right? But we think about counting calories, we forget that calories are a unit of energy. It's energy balance. If you have an unbalanced energy system within your body, meaning you're taking in more energy than you're putting out in the day, you're going to get fat and you're going to gain weight. Calories are energy. It's a measurement of energy. A calorie isn't a physical thing that you touch. It's just a measurement of the energy stored in food, and it's a measurement of the energy that you burn. So if I burn 1,000 calories on a treadmill, it's a measurement of energy. It's something you could power a light bulb up with. So how do you get fat? One of the ways is you live selfishly, is you take and consume more than you give. So that's why I'm explaining that relationship, how those things can coincide with one another. Whenever you're living an undisciplined, lazy, complacent, selfish lifestyle, a lot of times you're gonna get fat, you're gonna get lazy, you'll probably be drinking more, maybe smoking more, you're gonna have more vices. Your life is not revolved around a disciplined protocol where you're serving others. It's about, I'm down, I'm depressed, so what do I need to do to make myself feel good right now? I need to put something in my face. Or I need to drink something or smoke something or look at something to make me feel good right now. It's all me, 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 me. It's the opposite of leadership. We strive to be the lighthouse in Men of Fire, be leaders of our family. And as fathers, that's what we strive to do, is be leaders. But you can't be a leader if you're selfish. And selfish leaders are hated, they're resented, and they're not respected. They're seen as hypocrites because they are the do what I say, not what I do type of leader. And everyone hates that guy. But if you live selfishly, that's what you become. It's the fat guy in the stands yelling at his son to run faster, drinking a Diet Coke, throwing back a cheeseburger, saying, son, why aren't you disciplined and hustling? While he lives the opposite. That guy is resented. He'll be obeyed out of fear, but he's resented. So yeah, I haven't been shredded and ripped forever. That's my whole story, is that I overcame that. And I overcame that not by finding the perfect PDF of workout plans. I overcame that by overcoming myself, self-sabotage mindset, my identity, most importantly, my confidence, my discipline, consistency, overcoming my excuses, overcoming my story, rewriting my stories, all internal work that I had to do. And that's the basis of what I teach my guys. So I'm going to share, but the focus of this podcast, to get us back on topic, is when you're in that selfish mindset and you're down, frustrated, or maybe you and your wife are in a bad spot. I know tons of relationships right now, people are in bad spots with their partners. You know, you could be roommates or on the verge of divorce. There's a guy just joined us. He's like, they could get divorced tomorrow. There's other people who that's in the conversation. There's other people who, if I don't shape up, I know that's going to happen. Like if things don't change in 5 years, divorce is on the way. So if that's you, you're not in a good spot in your marriage. I can tell you, we weren't like close to divorce or anything, me and my wife, but we definitely had like a couple years where we were arguing a lot. And like I said, it always coincided with us not taking care of ourselves. I wasn't taking care of myself. She wasn't taking care of herself. We weren't consuming things physically and media-wise that were helping us. So it was a selfish lifestyle. Now I'm 38, she's 38. It's the best we've ever been. Relationship's the best it's ever been. We just had 2 date nights in a row this past weekend, Saturday night, Sunday night. Physically, passionate, flirtatious, talking, friends. Like it's the best it's ever been right now. So I'm telling you that, not to brag, but it is a brag. I'm very proud of that. But most importantly, to tell you that there's hope on the horizon, that you don't have to be depressed and think that there's no hope, because there is hope. So for the actual strategy, what do? You need to monitor how you're thinking about specific family members. Like if you were to tape record your thoughts, what would that sound like? If you could just put a little tape recorder inside your brain and hit record, what would that be saying? What would that inner voice be saying about your wife, about your son, about your daughter? Because maybe you've got somebody in your family that pisses you off more than the other person. And that will change throughout their time. Every single day, especially when your kids are in middle school and teenagers, their hormones are crazy, they change who they are. So you could have a cuddly, warm, open kid who's 5 years old, and then whenever they're 10 years old, they're a completely different person, which is great because they're growing. Our job as fathers and as parents and as leaders is to accept them for who they are and not demand that they fit a mold that we can handle. If I consider myself a leader who's stoic and wise and warm and accepting, then that means that I don't need other people to be perfect to fit into my world. It means I have built myself into somebody who's confident enough, capable enough, emotionally mature enough to handle chaos and handle other people's imperfections, my wife's imperfections, my son and daughter's imperfections. So that can only happen if I'm disciplined and have a handle on myself. If I'm out of control and chaotic, then my world becomes chaotic. If I'm snapping and angry at my family members, it's because internally I am angry and snapping on myself and frustrated. Family members are just the trigger of what's happening internally with us. It's not that my wife caused me to be angry. It's I was angry, I am angry, and my wife triggered that. It's an angry person will drive down the road and find something to be angry at. You know, somebody cuts him off, and instead of saying, "Oh, that guy's having a bad day," he's swearing at him. He'll go to his job and something will be wrong with the bathroom. There'll be a janitor in there cleaning, and he can't go to the bathroom. He'll be swearing up a storm and angry, bitching and moaning to his friend. It's not that the janitor's a bad person. This is just an angry person, and he finds things to be angry at. So if you find yourself impatient and snapping and unpresent with your family, it's not your family's fault. It's that you are just that kind of person, and you are around your family members so much, they are constantly triggering who you are. It's not their fault. Your kids are going to be kids. They're going to be loud. They're going to be crazy. They're going to make you mad. They're going to leave their stuff out. I can't tell you how many times I've told Nathan to put his shoes not in the middle of the stairs, hang up his coat. But he's a 6th grade boy. That's what they do. I was the same way when I was his age. And if I look at my room, sometimes I leave my clothes out too. So he's also modeling me. I'm not leaving my shoes in the middle of the stairwell, but you know what I mean. If I got angry every single time he did that, that would not be me saying, well, I need to smash Nathan every single day to make sure that he listens to me and obeys. That would be a signal that Chris has no self-control. Chris has some internal damage going on. He has things he needs to resolve. He's an angry, impatient, trauma-ridden person, and he's taking it out on the people who he comes into contact with a lot. If I was on a farm living alone with no family members and I was an angry, trauma-ridden person, I'd be mad at my animals. I'd find things to get mad at. An angry person is angry on the inside and will always find things to be angry at. It's not your wife's fault. It's not your daughter or son's fault. It is you who needs to heal so your family doesn't have to get your trauma. And I'm giving you all this context and background information because, and I will tell you the strategy, I promise you, because it will only make sense if you're in the right mindset. So if you're still listening to this, and good job if you are, then we're going to get there, but I want you to understand what I'm talking about. These are deep rising father topics, things that we talk about in Men of Fire all the time, and really what this is about. Like I tell the guys who join us, Men of Fire isn't about getting shredded. That will happen, but it's about overcoming yourself and battling yourself. And this is part of that. And as fathers, we want to be warm, inviting, accepting leaders of our families. And we can only do that if we master ourselves. So it's the strategy. As we've been saying, what you think about certain family members matters. If you recorded that soundtrack in your head, what would you be saying? So in these down parts of my life, when I was frustrated and down and undisciplined, and me and my wife weren't getting along, and I was probably snapping at my kids more than I should be, if I were to record what I was thinking about them, it wouldn't be nice things. I wouldn't even repeat them on here. Like if Nathan was making me angry, if I would record my inner thoughts about Nathan, it would probably be like, man, this kid's always leaving his shit out everywhere, blah, blah, blah. About my wife, I'd probably be saying like, well, why did she say that to me? What did she mean by that? Why isn't she doing this for me? She doesn't care about, like, that would be my inner thoughts about my wife. And you can tell when somebody thinks that about their family members just by talking to them about their family members, because they have these very strong opinions of them, of who their character is. If they're describing their wife, for example, they won't describe a certain instance. They'll say, no, this is who she is. So to me, that says you're not just describing one incident that happened that you can excuse her for. You're saying, no, she is this type of person. I'm painting her with this picture, with this paintbrush. This is who she is. And that means that you are constantly painting this picture of your wife every single day by what you think about her. That's why this is important. So you have to monitor your thoughts and monitor who you're talking to, monitor what you're listening to. There are groups of guys I could plug into today where by the end of the day, I know I would be speaking to my wife differently if I hung out with these guys or listened to these YouTube channels or podcasts, because they're a bunch of bros who bitch about their wife, and that's just normal to them. It's a bunch of guys who got rejected by girls and said yes to the first person who said yes to them. And now they're in some weird controlling dynamic relationship where I'm giving you a very specific example of people I know. They got rejected for a lot of their life by girls. A girl who was out of their league said yes to them to marry to them. Now they're in a controlling relationship where this girl is telling them, controlling them. And instead of them being a leader, they are being led, and they're saying yes when they don't want to say yes, and they feel weak and resentful. So they play the Mr. Nice Guy, happy wife, happy life thing to their wife, but behind closed doors to their friends, they're bitching about their wife. They go to bars, their sales meetings with people, and they're bitching about their wife. They listen to YouTube channels where guys are mad at women. They follow Instagram channels where guys are mad at women. They blame women for everything. They're just hurt, broken men who, instead of becoming more to attract more to them, they are doing the easy, weak thing and just playing the victim. Because leadership is not, this is very hard for guys, because it's like, who do you listen to? Who do you follow? And that's up to you. I put myself out there. You can choose to follow me and listen to me or not. But you could easily be sucked into the victim mentality mindset. And to be honest, that's far more attractive than what I preach. Like if I was the women are bad, guys are getting picked on type of content creator, I'd have a much bigger following. My YouTube channel would be blowing up. And if all of my content was about that, I know, I'd probably make more money. I'd probably have a bigger following, but also I do not want that crowd. I don't want the toxic group of guys who are always bitching about women, because it's just pathetic. It's just helpless and pathetic. And they're the kind of guys who think that if you say something that sounds tough, you are tough, instead of, no, if I serve without needing to be appreciated, and I'm the first one to walk into battle, that is what the tough masculine thing is to do. There's like a battle for what masculinity is right now. And some guys think it is looking and sounding a certain way instead of being a certain way. Instead of living by integrity and a code and holding a standard and being disciplined and serving and giving and leading, as that is what masculine leadership is, they think, no, it's standing in front of a Maserati with a prostitute and flashing bills. And that's very attractive to some people, where they think it's bitching about women and bitching about their wives and saying that girls are the reason. That is a middle school boy who just got dumped. That is not a leader I want to follow. This is a different vision of masculine fatherhood leadership that I want to share right here. And if you follow this, then you're my kind of person. And I want you to be on the tribe, and I want you to be in the community. That's what we're building here. And I apologize for all these tangents. This is what happens when I don't have a strict outline. Last two podcasts, I had a strict outline, went straight through it, bam, bam, bam. But I'm just talking on this one, something I really want to talk about. So how you think about your family is extremely important. Here's what you do. You force yourself to think positive things about them. At the beginning, you have to force yourself, and now you don't have to force yourself. So one of the strategies that I do is when my wife is next to me and I really want to be in the moment, I can feel myself drifting, maybe being unpresent, or maybe a negative thought about her pops into my head. I look at her and I say to myself, I am her husband. Repeat it to myself. I am her husband. And just like that, saying it like that, kind of abstracting myself, taking a step back, puts me in the moment. And really, it's like I'm reading a book about myself. Like, okay, this is this lady's husband. And I'm not in that selfish ego mindset anymore where I'm viewing the world through me. I'm seeing myself in this family relationship, in my dynamic. No, you are her husband. And all of a sudden, when I think that to myself, it makes me forgive stupid offenses that I shouldn't be offended about. It zooms me into the relationship, makes me more present. I put my arm around her. I'm like, yeah, I'm this lady's husband. And then I do the same thing with my kids. I say, I am their father. If I find myself getting impatient, unpresent, maybe thinking a negative thought about them, or I'm just not in the moment, I'll look at my son and say, I am his father. Because when you're living your day-to-day daily life, you can very easily get kicked out of who you are right now. You can be so obsessed with your work, getting sales, getting promoted, even the gym, house projects, money issues, that it's a very selfish, self-obsessed world we can live in, of just productivity constantly. And then you forget that you're living in a home with other people. And as soon as you say to yourself, I am his father, it really changes everything. Try that today. When you're with your wife, say, I am her husband. You're with your daughter, I am her father. I promise you, it'll slow everything down. You'll find yourself being more present. You won't snap as much. You'll put your arm around them. And you'll be able to take the little offenses that you used to get angry at, and it'll just slide right off you. I am her father. Because that has such meaning to it. Because what does a father mean? A father is warm. A father's a protector. A father's accepting, loving. A father makes you feel safe. So instead of saying, she's making me mad, why did she do that? You say, I am her husband, sacrificial, selfless, leader. I am her husband. I am her father. I am his father. That's one technique. Try that today. And honestly, let me know if that helps. Next one is very similar. It's training your thoughts on how you think about your family members. If you recorded your inner soundtrack, what would you be saying? Because if you're constantly thinking negative things about family members, you're going to feel negatively about them. And it's not that they deserve those negative thoughts or that they're causing you to have negative thoughts. It's that is the pattern that you are in that you need to break. Just like how you think about yourself. You might be in a pattern of negative thinking about yourself that you need to break right now. So the other thing is just almost like positive affirmations, where you find something about the family member that's positive and you just repeat it to yourself. For my son, he is 120 pounds now. He's sixth grader. He just this morning in CrossFit, last night in CrossFit, Sarah took him and Lauren to CrossFit. She did CrossFit. I was at jiu-jitsu. And he came home. I was in the bathroom. He's pounding on the door. And I'm like, Nathan, what's up, man? He's like, Dad, I just deadlifted 212 pounds. He's like 4 times. He's 11 years old, deadlifted 212 pounds. He does CrossFit, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. He's going to be a scary beast. He'll be able to beat me up in 4 or 5 years when he's 16. So he's that kind of kid. He also is hilarious. He's very funny. He's very energetic. And when he was 50 pounds, 70 pounds ago, some of the same actions he does right now as a 120-pound boy were viewed as cute and funny. And we had so much patience and presence for them. Now he does those same things. They're not cute anymore. They're disruptive and damaging and even annoying sometimes. So it is not that necessarily that Nathan has changed who he is. He's growing, which is what naturally happens. So am I, as his father, going to change how I treat him? Am I going to change how I treat my son because his body's changing? He still needs me. And when he was a toddler, if I was just always greeting him with a smile and warmth and love, and then all of a sudden he's growing, which he's supposed to do, and now I'm not, I'm greeting him with annoyance. What a lonely life I'm giving my son. Just because he's growing and changing. Me, this adult, can't handle it. So what I do, like for Nathan, because I remember when he was a baby and a toddler, just laying on my chest all the time, falling asleep, taking naps on me thinking, man, this is heaven right now. Like, I've never loved anything like I love my son. And I was like, man, this is heaven. And he was so, so cute, always dancing. Even a couple of days ago, just did a dance party. So to me, I say to myself, when I'm thinking of Nathan, just throughout the day, I say, he is so damn cute. And I remember that little toddler and the baby boy. And now when I see him, I'll still say to myself, man, he's so damn cute. And he is. And I see that part of him. Because if you don't intentionally train your thoughts, and if you're a negative person, like I can be a naturally negative, judgmental person, I have to train my thoughts to not be that. You'll find yourself getting sucked into a negative railroad track of thinking about people. It's like you're skiing down a hill and all of a sudden your skis slip into somebody else's ski tracks. It's like, that's what it's like when you have negative thinking. When you're a negative thinking person, you just slip into those ski tracks. That is not the truth. That is not what you should be doing. That's just your pattern. It's the easiest way. It's like water finding the lowest point. If you're a naturally negative person, that tends to happen. That tends to happen to me. So I need to intentionally train myself to be positive with myself and with family members. So with Nathan, I say he is so damn cute. And especially the last couple of weeks, I've been saying that a lot to myself. I've been seeing a different part of him. Not necessarily that he's changed, but I opened up my eyes to see this part of him more. I do the same thing with Lauren. I do the same thing with my wife. I just say, she's so damn amazing. She's so happy. I say these things to myself as I'm looking at them and living with them, and it changes the way I feel about them, I think about them, speak to them, and treat them. And then that changes the way they treat me. Are you going to treat somebody differently who treats you with love, warmth, and happiness? Of course. So it matters how I treat them with the response I get. So monitor your thoughts, monitor how you're thinking about people in your family, and because it has a massive impact on what you feel about them, think about them, speak to them, the words you use with them, then how you treat them. And then at the end of it all, it has a big impact on how they treat you. Then you keep on zooming out. It has a big impact on the energy of your house, what your kids will remember about your home, and your job, your legacy as a leader. How did I lead my family? Nathan's about to turn 12. Lauren just turned 10. That's 8 years more where they'll be living in the house. A couple more years where they're here a lot, then they'll be out on their own. What's my legacy going to be as a father? How was I as a leader? Did I show up or did I crumble? Was I selfless or was I selfish? All these things. When I'm 46 years old, like let's say Lauren goes to college, which she's planning on doing. Nathan doesn't want to, Lauren does. Let's say Lauren goes to college when she's 46 years old. At that point, life's never the same, right? Right now, it's 8-something a.m., 8:52 a.m. Before Lauren left for school, walked to her school bus stop, she ran in the room, she jumped on my lap, she faced me, she gave me a kiss, and we just cuddled for 10 minutes and said, I love you 10 times before she left. When I'm 46 years old, let's say I live to 86, I'm blessed, and I live till I'm 86 years old, I'm planning on it. That's 40 years where I'm going to not have one of the best moments of my life. Like that morning moment I have with my daughter is one of the best moments of my life, and it happens every single day. So for 40 years, every single one of those 365 days, that's not going to happen. So it's going to be a very different world, a very different life then. What's my legacy going to be? How did I show up during this time? Like, what if every single one of these mornings I said, sorry, Lauren, this is work time. I can't do that with you. I got to get stuff done. Be a different legacy, different memories. These are all things to think about as fathers. And one of the things that matters is how we treat them every single day, how we speak to them, the words we use, the actions, and the strategies that I shared with you today have had a huge impact on me and the guys inside Men of Fire, but it's just daily training. If you start this today, it's not going to be fixed today, but you will notice changes today. I promise you that. So if that helped you and you're still with me, great job. Very different than my 15, 30-second reels on Instagram. But if you enjoy this podcast, you're getting some life-changing advice from it, or it's helping you rise as a father, discover yourself, learn some things, please leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to this. More important than that, please share it with another father who could use some positive messaging in his brain. Like share it on your stories, on social media, send it to them, and help grow this community. I really appreciate all of you guys. If you're interested in accountability, working with me, and being part of Men of Fire, that link is in the bio as well. Talk to you soon.